Hello, everyone. This is your health coach, Julianne. And today I am excited to interview certified image master and style expert, Marion Gellatly. Welcome, Marion.
Well, thanks for having me, Julianne.
Yeah. Well,
Pleasure
before
to
we,
be here.
oh, yeah, me too. It's been a long day already this morning. Now, before we get started, I just wanted those of you those of you who are here joining us live, that if you have any questions at all, you can put them in the chat. And if there's a little bit of time at the end, we'll go ahead and open up for some Q&A with Marion. All right. So today our conversation will be centered around pandemic or not, looking your best at 50 and better is imperative. And now many of us on this call know Marion and have heard her speak before. And of course, those of you who don't already know her, just let me introduce her to you. According to Marion, there has never been a more important time to look your best, especially at 50 and better. Since 1991, Marion Gellatly of Powerful Presence has been on a mission to empower women to look and feel their best. So often women fall into yoga pants and t-shirts when other choices would empower them to stand out, be noticed, and achieve their goals. So those of you who don't want to be dismissed, discounted, or diminished can turn to Marion to be awesome, amazing, and authentic wherever you go without adding complexity to your busy life. So today, Marion will share some powerful strategies, some simple approaches, and ways to stand out and differentiate yourself through the power of image and style. I'm so grateful that she's taking the time to be with us today, and I can't wait to hear what she's got to share. So Marion, I know you've got so much great information for us today. Where would you like to start?
Oh, it's a big topic, isn't it? And for those that don't know me, I've had my practice for 30 years now. So what I can say is style has certainly changed in those 30 years. And as I came out of corporate America, I did a lot of my work in large companies, working with executive teams and sales teams and people that were going to have frontline contact with the clients. So style, or more professional image, was the most important thing to the companies. And over the years, my practice has migrated. I work now primarily with women like myself who are 50 and better, who still want to be relevant, who still want to be, taken seriously, who still, want to be modern and contemporary. And so my passion is now working with women 50 and over. Most of my clients, I would say, are professional women, or many of them now have graduated out of the market and into retirement. Lucky them, right? So as I say, in my 30 years, I've seen it all. I have been in, hundreds of client closets and dressing rooms with women. And some of my clients have said to me, Marion, you're kind of like a psychologist, aren't you? Because you hear so many different things and you hear the issues, and Julianne, dealing with women and maybe some men too, or who don't have real positive body images, but still want to look good and want to feel good. So anyway, I would say that what I love to do is I just love to help women look good. And when they look good, they feel good. So I work on the outside, you work on the inside, right?
More or less, yeah, I would say. All right. Well, we have talked a little bit before about, for example, and this is something, women, I think, and men always want to know because everyone's busy. Can you give us like 3 uncommon ways to simplify our style and look fabulous wherever we go?
All right, you can simplify your style once you have done a little deep dive before, because I think it's important to know that you really have to take quite a few things into account before you can have a style that really says, this is me.
Mm.
And I like to say, let your style tell your story. So one of the things I love to do with my students who are in my style classes or my one-on-one clients who I'm, working with individually, that we have to really begin with, who are you? What do you want people to know about you? What do you want them to know about your personality? How do you want to show up in the world? And how do you want to be perceived? Because image is perception, and we do judge, don't we, very quickly. And it's not intentional, I think, in many cases, but it's just a fact that when we see somebody, we make a decision, well, can we relate to them or can they relate to me? So it's really, style is such a powerful tool. So you have to begin there by really doing that deep dive and understanding that you need to take some time to say, this is who I am. So you might say, I'm fun and sparkly, but there's a side of me that has a little seriousness at the same time. Or I want to be perceived as trustworthy, but approachable. And all of those words can be then translated into a look or into a style, into color, into the type of garment, to the types of patterns that you wear to really convey your message, or as I like to call it, your style recipe.
Mm.
So I love to use kind of the metaphor of being in the kitchen and cooking. And when you want to have company over for dinner and have a great meal on the table, unless you're a chef or a really good cook, which I am not, then what I need to do is I need to go to my cookbook and I look for a dish that I want to prepare. And then I read the recipe. And when I'm reading the recipe, I'm looking at all the ingredients that have to go into that recipe in order to deliver that dish. The same is true with your style. So you've got to really have the recipe, and then you've got to go to the closet and see, do I actually have the ingredients in the closet that I can put together to deliver the look or the style that is important? So that is one of the really important things to do to simplify long-term, the style that you want to have. Another thing is to really be very clear on the colors that work for you. So, if you look at Julianne and you look at me, our coloring is very different. And so the colors that we're going to wear, or the contrast that we're going to wear, or the vibrancy that we are going to be able to wear are going to be very different. So once you know that color palette, you're going to be good to go, and you can very quickly clean out the closet of everything that doesn't work for you and only focus when you go into stores or when you're shopping online, the colors that are going to bring you alive. The third thing that's really important to know is your body. What works for your body? So some of us can wear fabrics that are a little more flowy. Some of us are going to need to wear fabrics that are a little more crisp. And that's because our body shapes are different. So my body happens to be a molded body, meaning it has a lot of curvature to it, and it's a little bit fleshy. And yet an athlete might be somebody that's going to be very taut in her body, have a lot of skeletal bones showing. And so she's going to be able to wear, she's not going to be able to wear flowy clothes. She's going to have to wear things that are more crisp. And then we have the body that's the molded body. And the molded body is a woman that's got the muscle, that she's been doing some workouts. She's been maybe doing a little weightlifting. And so she needs fabrics that are going to give her a lot of movement, because she's active and she moves and she's got the muscles that the fabric needs to drape over. So there's always a little bit of science to style that we need to understand. But I think the three uncommon ways are, get in and design that style recipe, really be clear about your colors, understand your body, understand the proportions that are going to work well for you.
Oh, that's great. I'm so glad you actually brought it down to these, what I would think would be kind of basic things, but, and not some, tricky little things. Cause I was waiting for the little tricks, and I'm thinking, well, no, we don't need, we're way, this sounds more foundational, right?
Well, I love to teach the foundation. I call them the pillars,
Mhm.
the 7 pillars of style. And when you have those pillars, 3 of which I've just mentioned, then you really can look at your wardrobe and look at shopping with almost a little bit of a scientific mind, a
Mhm.
mathematical mind, so that you know that you're choosing the things that are going to make you happy, number one, and things that aren't going to become those little orphans in your closet that I know so many women have. Well, why did I buy this? Well, I don't know. Let's talk about, why did you buy this? Let's figure this out. And then when I can explain to them, because I love to be able to teach and to educate why things are working and why things aren't, then they are better equipped. My clients are better equipped then to make smart decisions going forward and not waste money.
Mhm.
Because when I see all those things hanging in a woman's closet, some with price tags still on them, it just reminds them, I'm sure, and certainly reminds me that we waste a lot of money when we really don't know who we are and what we need for who we are.
Mhm. Oh, that's so excellent. Yeah, I just cleaned out my closet a little bit late last year, and there were many things that were being thrown into a pile with price tags on them.
Yeah.
And it was because I bought them, aspirationally, because I was kind of still losing weight, and
Yes.
I bought a size that I aspired to fit into.
Right.
Why do we do that? I don't know. And
Well,
then and
because
then
we
I
do, because we do think it's going to be aspirational or it's going to
yeah.
be motivational. And guess what? Reality is, buy the size that you are today. And even if you're losing weight, you can go ahead and invest in a couple of pieces that even as you're losing weight, you can take in very easily, or you can belt, or you can wrap, and you can still have it serve you. But you don't want to buy a lot of stuff
Mhm.
that is 2 sizes down from where you are. And I always say, if you've got things in your closet that are 2 sizes too small or 2 sizes too large, get rid of them. Just get rid of them. Give them away. Give them to your church. Donate them. Whatever the case, there's somebody out there that would love to have them, love to wear them. And if they hang in your closet, you keep thinking, oh, I've got so much to wear, but the reality is you really don't.
Oh, what you just said, brilliant. I mean, how many of us, I mean, even for myself, I open my side of the closet and I'm looking at all of these clothes and I'm thinking, so of all these clothes, I probably only wear about 10% of them.
Mm,
And I thought, okay,
mm.
I'm smelling what I'm dishing out here. Let's just say. And I'm like, okay, something's got to give.
Sounds like it's time for a closet audit with Marion.
Oh, and there you go. I think you're onto something. Another thing about the color, I mean, my husband, as you know, is a professional photographer.
Yes.
And back in, oh, I don't even know, late teens, early 20s, when, I didn't know a lot better about so many things. My favorite colors were like Buddhist monk orange and mustard and avocado and pistachio and things. It all sounds like food stuff, right? But basically things that did not. I'm a winter, so I need the cool, bright tones, not the tones that are better off for, let's say, an autumn or a spring or someone like that because of my skin tone. And I was wearing these things like crazy because I liked them personally, but they did not like me back. And then I started to get a clue that certain colors I would wear, I would get a lot of compliments on, oh, that looks great, or you look great, or whatever. And I thought, okay, maybe I should be paying attention to when I get the compliments and
Yes.
when I don't.
Yes.
Hmm.
And there's a difference between, oh, I love that on, oh, I love that on you,
Mhm.
or, oh, I love that jacket. Two different, so
Ah,
listen for that too. when people say, oh, I love that on you, you know, because people do react to color and they respond. And when they see their favorite color on somebody else, they go, oh, I love that color.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean it looks great on you. So you really have to pay attention. Now, if you are a winter and I am a winter, look at the difference in our coloring and
Mhm.
look at the difference in the kinds of things that we can wear, primarily because of the hair color.
Mm.
So what I want to say about that is once we start coloring our hair, or once we start letting our hair go natural, like, I'm doing with all the gray that's coming in, it really shifts what is in the closet. So
Mhm.
what I'm finding is that I'm having to really cool down all my colors
Mm.
because my hair now is going very cool rather than warm.
Mhm.
So that's one thing we have to think about. Or if we dye our hair and we
Mhm.
change it up, we go from, let's say, my hair, this is my natural hair. But if you had seen me 3 years ago,
Mhm.
my hair was brown and it had gold highlights in
I
it.
remember that. Yeah.
Yes. So there I was trying to be an autumn or a warm winter, let's say. And
Mhm.
so the colors that I've had, or the things I've had to really get rid of in my closet, just are heartbreaking. But when I put them on, I go, oh my gosh, I can see this really isn't working with the coloring that I have today. So style shifts, colors shift
Mhm.
based on what you're doing or what nature is doing with your hair color.
Oh,
And
yeah, go ahead.
and your skin and your eyes both soften as you age, and therefore maybe the intensity that you used to be able to wear slowly starts to quiet down as we get a little bit older.
I'm so glad you said that because I did a virtual workshop last several months ago,
Mhm.
and you mentioned that as we get older, the looks soften, and of course, what
Yes.
we can wear softens. And I totally had forgotten about that,
Yep.
and I totally didn't even think about that when you start to like I had my no, I'm going to blame my stylist. No, for getting the highlights in it. No, that was my decision. But yeah, my hair is normally probably the similar color to yours, like a deep brunette. And I have no idea how much of gray is in it because I've never bothered to find out. But you're right. My hair is not winter hair necessarily.
No,
Yeah.
no. So,
She
so
says
when
no. Thank you.
and I will say too, when we talk about color, we talk about seasonal typing for color. There's a lot more that goes into seasonal typing than just the color. The personality of the person and their style goes into that as well. So there may have been a time when you were a true winter,
Mhm.
but I would say now you're maybe shifting a little bit. And we can be more than one season. In other words, we can morph a little bit from one to another. So it's not, oh, you're a spring, summer, fall, or winter. It's much more complicated than that. So when I do color analysis for my clients, I really do it. I customize it. It's all based on your personal coloring as it is today. And then if I see patterns
Mhm.
as they relate to a seasonal pattern that you might be familiar with, I share that. But oftentimes, most women are not, they don't fit into a little box. Let's put it
No,
that
that's
way.
that's a good point. Just like anything in life, I guess. And not everyone's a perfect, put a label on it kind of a person.
Exactly.
I was sharing with you before we started this interview that I had a meeting this morning and I was wearing my finest athleisure wear. And then I realized, well, maybe I am going to be talking to a style expert, so maybe I should change up just a little bit. And now I can see I've got winter colors on. Oh, well. Thank you for,
Well, the color looks very pretty on you. And
oh, thank you.
I think what the way you've really made it work is you've softened the periwinkle or the royal blue. And you know what I'll say is on Zoom too, some colors just don't reflect
Mhm.
accurately.
Mhm.
So what I'm seeing is a royal blue, but
Mhm.
what you've done is put that beautiful scarf around your neck and around the the front of the jacket, which has definitely softened the brightness of the jacket down. So you're making it work really nicely.
Oh, well, thank you. I feel much better now. But anyway, that brings me to another question I wanted to ask you is like, here I was in this call this morning, I felt appropriate to have, that much of me show just this kind of, upscale athleisure wear top.
Mhm.
And yet that's not always appropriate for different situations. Sometimes, I mean, obviously what you wear makes a big difference so in so many areas. So can you address that maybe how can style help you attract new opportunities or people in your life?
Well, I think we are living in the Zoom age. And even though, very happily, I'm just like you, I'm sure, happy to be back out and about again, we are not going to get away from Zoom.
Mm,
So I think it's really important to remember that no matter whether you're in person or whether you're on Zoom, your image matters. Your style needs to tell your story. So when you look, um, what I think all of us want to do as businesswomen is we want to attract people to us. We want them to see us for who we are. We
mhm.
want them to understand what we do. And so again, remember that first impression. So when you're sitting in a sea of Zoom little windows, it's very interesting to kind of look through the group and you pick out people that you say, oh, wow, she looks like she's got her act together, or she looks sharp, or I'd like to get to know her better, or she looks like she just got out of bed. We've seen all of that. So all I want to say is think about getting on Zoom and think about what you want people to know about you. So your style definitely, especially wearing color up near your face, I think is really important on Zoom. And it's friendly. People love color. It's approachable. It's happy. We are in kind of a happy trend, style trend area right at the moment, because I think we all are so happy to be out of, the Zoom or well, out of doing so much Zoom. But I want everyone to think about, if you want to wear your athleisure wear from your waist down when you're on Zoom, go for it. If you want to be barefoot when you're on Zoom, go for it if it makes you feel better. I personally just feel more professional when I've taken the time to at least get ready in a casual way. And there is some athleisure wear that is really nice. So I'm not going to, pan athleisure wear. What I'm going to say is just go ahead and be selective about what you choose. Make sure that you keep color up near your face, maybe add a little accessory. And that goes a long way for demonstrating to people that you care for yourself. And therefore, if you care for yourself, you're probably going to care for others as well.
Mm,
So
that's
did
an
that
excellent
answer your
point.
question?
Yeah, no, that is an excellent point. It just kind of reminds me about something else as well. And this is probably a story as old as anything. I remember when I was in school, we went to a school, we wore school uniforms.
Okay, me
And
too.
then my kids, I think the school that they're, oh, no, yeah, the high school they were in, also school uniforms. And sometimes you'd hear complaints. So why does it matter? Why are we doing this? I don't get it. What's important about that? And even we would even get some interesting comments from like one particular photography assistant we had hired. And she was an interesting person, but she couldn't understand why she had to dress a certain way when she was at a wedding with my husband
Oh,
assisting.
oh,
She didn't understand why it had to be a certain look or a certain level of dressiness, that
yes,
sort of thing.
yes.
And I'm thinking, how do I was trying to explain that to her. Like,
Mhm.
does it shows respect for where you are, it puts you
Yes.
in the right mindset. Do you see any issues with that in today nowadays that people just don't understand why they need to dress for the occasion, or am I just old fashioned?
Well, maybe a little of both. I think those of us that are, 50 and over definitely remember the days when our parents dressed well, when we would even go to dinner at other people's homes. My goodness, we would put on a dress or a nice outfit. Our husbands might even put on a tie. Those days are long gone. And so, the casualing down of America is here to stay. It's not going to go anywhere. But I think for the employee, it's important for everybody, for every employee to understand that they need to represent the brand of the company or the individual that they're working for. So shouldn't even be a question, other than maybe she needs an explanation as to why. And it sounds like you did a great job of giving that to her. But if Greg had a particular way he wanted his employee to show up to represent his company and his photography, then I think that's really important. Now, there are a lot of companies today that just don't care about that. And, me having come out of Silicon Valley and having been born and raised in that area, I saw a lot of changes from the day when we all used to dress in suits or very nice, separates that were put together, look like an outfit, to now, jeans and t-shirts and shorts and flip-flops. Well, that's up to the company. If the company thinks that that's perfect and they're getting, they're keeping their employees happy and the employees aren't representing the company in the face of the public eye, then so be it. But one of the reasons I was always called in was because they had problems, because there were people just like the woman you described who just didn't understand it. And I think it's really education and really having them understand why it's important. And of course, we can all understand first impressions. I don't care how old or how young you are. We all know that first impressions matter and they happen. And sometimes we don't get a second chance to make that first impression. So very important.
Yeah. Well, I also feel like when you dress a certain way, it puts you in a certain frame of
mindset.
Like you understand, especially for school children. Oh, I am at school now, yes. I am not doing this or doing that. I'm not coming to school in sweatpants. I sound like a mom right now.
Well, and what I love about uniforms, because my grandsons are in schools too, where they do wear uniforms. And the thing I like about that is that there's no socioeconomic differentiation by how kids show up and in what outfits and in with what clothes. They're all kind of, the same, and they can really focus on their friendships and focus on their studies and not have to worry about that layer of clothing that affects.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Well, I do appreciate though, you mentioned something about people who got really dressed up just to go over to other people's houses to eat. And I remember when I was a kid, if you were on an airplane, you dressed up to take the airplane ride. And nowadays I'm very good with wearing sneakers and athleisure wear, something super comfortable on those not very comfortable airline seats for 5 hours at a time.
Yes.
And so some trends I'm actually quite happy. We are no longer like women. I remember women wore girdles. My mother had a girdle. Even when I started wearing pantyhose. I don't know why. I don't know. I just made me feel grown up or something. But high heels. I remember when I started working in Carmel, and I was in sales in Carmel in the early 1980s. Here I go dating myself. That's okay. I'm among friends.
Exactly.
But the thing back then were high heels. And not all of us young working women could invest in the really good quality high heels. So we would always wear down the rubber on the bottom of the heels. It was just terrible, terrible things we used to do. And it just wasn't good for us walking around in those high heels all day long. It just wasn't. So I'm very happy that trend, do have more options nowadays. But that's actually, that brings me to another question. Sometimes if I'm getting dressed and like I was at an event this about a week and a half ago, And the only thing that was going to look good with this dress I had in mind, in my mind, were my high heels, which I have comfortable ones nowadays.
Oh, okay.
They're naturalizers, they're fairly comfy, but
Okay.
still they're not walk a mile shoes,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And
Exactly.
so how about options for dressy shoes that look great? Any ideas? I know we don't have any photos or anything, but
Well, what I'll say is that I'm at that age too, where I can't do anything over about an inch to an inch and a half. And for a long time, if you didn't do, 3-inch spike heels or stilettos, whatever you want to call them, you didn't look cool. Well, the baby boomers are all aging and we're beyond all of that. So fortunately, there are companies now that have really adjusted their footwear to where they take into account comfort and they also take into account heel height. So there are a lot of options out in the marketplace right now. So for me, I'm going to wear either something that has a block heel that's sturdy and steady and that gives me support when I'm walking. Or I'm going to wear a kitten heel. A kitten heel is, like a little short kitten heel that's got a little shape to it, which has a feminine feel to it. But again, it's not something that I can't walk in. The other thing that's out there right now are a lot of wedges to give you height, but again, give you a nice, what do I want to say, flat form to be able to walk on. So what you have to do, I think, is you just have to try on shoes and find one that fit your feet. There is a brand that's called Gemi, Gemi, Italian, very comfortable. Love their shoes. I also love Eileen Fisher shoes. And I do because they're comfortable. And they fit my feet and they have an ankle strap to hold them onto my feet. So, you just really, like anything when it comes to style and what you're going to put in your closet, you really have to do your shopping. You have to do your research. You have to, come to me and ask me for my, input, that kind of thing. But there are a lot of good resources out there right now. The thing is that when you're wearing dresses today, especially the dresses have gotten longer. We've gone everything from mini to maxi right at the moment. But a lot of women are wearing the midi length, which is kind of at the calf. Well, you have to be real careful with that midi length because with a flat shoe or a very short heel, it can actually look a little dumpy. So, just know that sometimes based on what you can do on your feet, you also have to adjust the hems of the garments that you're wearing. It's all about proportion when you're putting outfits together.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess the full length mirror helps a little bit.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and that is so important for every woman to have a full length mirror where she can see herself front and back.
Yeah, I imagine. Do you ever get any I need help right now calls where people are showing you videos of what they've got on? It's like, Marion, this is what I was thinking. What do you think?
Well, with my private clients, yes. And actually with my students in the Empowered Style program, that's one of the things we do. In fact, I'm finishing up a 3-month program today, and each student had to send to me several outfits, impactful outfits, I call them. And then I critique them and I give them feedback in terms of, hey, you're doing great. The colors are great. The proportion of everything is great. The way you've put it together based on your style recipe and your colors that we've defined through the program, you're doing a great job. Or this is what you could do better. And this is what I would recommend you change to really make the outfit more impactful. So yeah, so I get calls and I get asked these questions all the time.
Oh, that's great. Well, I have another question, but I wanted to remind our audience who are joining us live, if you, and I don't know if they heard this before, but if you have a question for Marion, you can feel free to put it in the chat. And if we've got some time towards the end, which we probably will, we're going to go ahead and do a little Q&A with you. So any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat, and then we'll get back to you in a little bit. All right, I did have another question, Marion.
Okay.
And you actually touched on something
Okay.
where you're actually working closely with people, because it occurs to me that people could use some help. It's hard to be a do-it-yourself project on yourself.
It is. And even image consultants need image consultants, you know? So
Coaches need
yeah,
coaches too. So
absolutely.
that's for sure. So how can a stylist help people get the most value from things you've already invested in your wardrobe, or things you are about to invest in?
Yeah.
So where do you come into that?
Well, it depends where in the cycle I come into it, whether it's as a teacher to a student or whether it's a, style consultant to a private client. But the reason why I'm hired is because women either are looking to make a transformation in their lives, or they're frustrated, or they're at a stage of their life where they feel that they just need a new look, they need a freshening up. So depending on where they are, then we get to work. Now, the advantage of, number one, working with a stylist is that the stylist is, educated. She understands all the tools of the trade, and she understands the science and the math behind figuring out proportions and so forth, so that she can really provide her client with honest evaluation. And so, I'm working with a client right at the moment that she's a little bit of a challenge, quite honestly. And she sees herself very differently than what she portrays, not only to me, but to other people. And so, it's very, I have to be honest, but I have to do it in a kind and gentle way. And I have to show her options, and I have to show her why this works better than this, and have her develop a mindset that she's willing to go ahead and make a shift. Now, mindset comes into transformation, as you know, in a big way, because if you want to make a shift, but you fight it all along the way, it's like, well, it's not going to be a pleasant experience. So the mindset has to be that I'm willing to do something different. I'm willing to listen to the expert. And ultimately, you make your own decision, but the expert is going to give you the valuable advice. So I think that's where the advantage of working with a stylist comes in, that you get the expertise, you get the knowledge, you get the resources that she has in terms of designers or brands or shoes or accessories. So I can point people in a direction that they may never have thought about or ever even knew about before. So that's what a stylist will do for you.
That's great. It sounds to me like for those of us, when you were talking about having the things in your closet with the price tags, and my famous one is shoes I've never really worn. I was like, these are cute, the price is right, they should work. And then I wear them, and then I actually put them on and walk around in them. And it's like, nope.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, that would be me. But it just occurred to me, especially after cleaning up my closet months ago, that I have wasted so much money on things.
Most
I
women
mean,
have.
whether they were on sale or not. It's almost like that. It's like when your house is cluttered, when you've got stuff. I'm speaking for myself. When you've got stuff in your closet that maybe 80 or 90% of it you don't even wear, that's kind of draining,
Very draining.
It kind of starts interfering with your mental clarity. When you're looking in your drawers of your dresser and you couldn't even say why you're holding on to something, it's a lot. So is
Well,
there like a regular cycle that you feel like people need to just, go through their clothing and what they've got in their drawers.
Yes, it's a task that most women absolutely hate to do. But my feeling is that once a year you should do it. Now I do it twice a year. So what I do is I keep the current season's clothes in my closet. And then the previous season's clothes happens to be in a guest closet. So I don't have to look at them until next season. But I just got finished doing a shift of my fall winter clothes and put in my spring summer. And even though where we live, many times we can wear a lot of our clothes actually year round, there are definitely things that I wouldn't want to bring forward from fall winter. They're just too heavy, or the fabric is too heavy, or the look is too heavy. So it's a perfect time for me to say, okay, Marion, did you wear this? So if I'm bringing into spring right at the moment, spring and summer, and I look at what I had last spring and summer, okay, did I wear this last summer or last spring? No, I don't think I did. Okay, do you think there's going to be a reason why you're going to want to wear it this spring and summer? Try it on, look at it, see if it works, or just say, no, I honestly don't think I'm going to wear it this summer. Great, get rid of it. Just give it, donate it, give it to a friend, give it to maybe someone that works with you. There's a lot of people that would love your clothes. So I think that doing it twice a year makes it less, what do I want to say, stressful.
Mhm.
So if you stay on top of it on a regular basis, I think you'll find that you'll do it more effectively. The other thing you could do is, maybe you don't want to do it by season. Maybe you're going to want to do it by, okay, this particular weekend, I'm going to really go through all my pants, and I'm just going to try on my pants, and I'm going to see, do the pants still fit me? Because, I did that and went, oh, I can see these pants aren't going to fit me this summer. So fine. Am I going to lose, 5-10 pounds to be able to fit in them? No, I'm not going to do that. So fine, get rid of it. So rather than keeping it and thinking, okay, I've got that white pair of pants that's a go-to, that could be a go-to pant, I have to say to myself, no, I can't fit into them. So it's time to get rid of them. So just any way that you can think it would be comfortable for you to kind of take small bites out of the closet. I think rather than looking at it as one huge project, think of it in bite-sized pieces. Maybe another thing could be, I'm going to put myself on my calendar, and on Saturday, I'm going to spend 45 minutes in my closet. And I'm going to start with my blouses, and I'm just going to run through all my blouses and decide what I'm going to keep and what I'm not going to keep for the spring and summer upcoming season. So that's what I would suggest. And if you need help in doing that, by all means, that's one of the services that I do provide, because it
That's
is
great.
hard to get rid of stuff. And especially if there are memories attached to them.
Yeah.
I have some solutions for that too.
Oh, that's great. Do you do these? I can see we've got a couple of questions now in the chat, and Z from who's currently residing in Texas.
Oh,
Do you ever do any of your services via remote? I mean,
yes.
via Zoom? You do? Okay, good.
Yes, a lot of it. A lot of it is done, yes, online today.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's great. I just
Zoom,
wanted to.
Zoom is my favorite friend.
I think that is one thing that's come out of the pandemic that I think has been for the positive, is that we're not necessarily spending as much time sitting in a car driving as we once used to. Anyway, and it makes it a little more special when we are in person. And, actually, I look forward to in-person things. I mean, even if it's just lunch with a group of people,
Sure.
I'm kind of getting excited about what I'm going to wear, because, ooh, they're going to see me. What?
Well, and what I want us all to think about is, what are the activities that we have in our life? Are we going to our networking meetings? Are we having lunch with friends? Are we doing speaking engagements now? Are we going to exercise? what is our life all about? And then making sure that we really have pieces in our closet that are going to make us happy and going to have us show up as we want to be seen in
Mm,
each one of those kinds of situations.
yeah,
So,
that's a very good
designing
point.
your outfits
Yeah,
for
very good
each
point.
activity, I think is important.
Yeah, I was just, I was making a joke with someone the other day who was still not understanding why, I think it was my brother. He's like, I don't have to dress up for anything. And I'm like, okay, well, Mark Zuckerberg might be able to get away with that, but until you're Mark Zuckerberg, you might have to think about it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes. I mean, I hear that all the time. Well, if it's good enough for Steve Jobs, it's good enough for me. If it's good enough for Mark Zuckerberg, it's good enough for me. No, you're not Steve Jobs and you're not Mark Zuckerberg.
In his defense,
So
Steve Jobs actually did have a style, kind of
he
the black
did.
on jeans, black on
Yes.
denim, right? That,
Yes,
and he had the glasses. So he did have his own style and he was
he
very
did.
consistent.
He did. But just because he could do that doesn't mean that you can do that
Right, exactly.
because
All
you're not
right.
the same person as
No,
he
well,
is.
would you
Yeah.
like, we have a couple of questions. Did you want
Okay.
to dig into our chat questions here?
Sure.
Our
Sure.
first one is from Teresa,
Oh,
and
hi,
she says,
Teresa.
hello, favorite ladies. Regarding the new platform shoes, I have thin legs, especially in the ankles. What do you suggest as far as not looking so clunky?
Yes, I have the same exact issue. And so I think it's really important to make sure that the scale of the shoe and the scale of the sole are in keeping with the scale of your ankle. So you're probably not going to be, I wonder if that's why you don't like those white combat boots. Maybe that's, remember you told me that you've got the white combat boots that you haven't worn. Maybe they're just too clunky for your ankle. So think about that. So scale is really important. So there are some wedges, there are some platforms that aren't overly clunky, that are a little more refined in their look. So the refinement with a slim ankle is going to be really important.
Hmm. Yeah. And that's really, and I hadn't thought about that. Now, Teresa, I've got to see those combat boots. I'm trying to imagine such a thing. And of course, Z had to go, but
Okay.
she was just saying that she used to live here, where our
Oh,
climate generally stays pretty similar throughout the
uh-huh.
seasons. And you can dress up and down and in layers, of course, because you never know what it's going to be like. And now she's in a very warm
Mhm.
climate.
Mhm.
And I think that's all she had to say about that. I was too bad she had to go because I would like to ask her more about, because I've often wondered this, especially since I was just recently in a very hot climate about a week and a half ago in the desert. And how do people get dressed up in like Phoenix, Arizona in the summertime? It's like, I'm not even sure how that, because you have
Linen.
to walk from the building to your car.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about fabric in hot climates. So breathable fabrics, primarily you'd see a lot of linen or linen cotton blends
Mhm,
in the hot climates, but I mean, it's not easy,
mhm.
not
Yeah, I guess,
easy.
thank goodness for air conditioning, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And you got to go out and get all your errands done by 10 a.m. in the morning.
well, I guess the same is true in the wintertime. If you live in extremely cold or wet, you have booties to go over your shoes in the wet, or you have the really nice raincoat. I remember you probably like this show as much as I do, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Have you
Hmm.
seen that? Their
Yes.
wardrobe is amazing. And but I noticed what they're putting on in the wet weather. It's like they've got it all going on. They've got the certain hats that repel the water. They've got the men and the women. They've got the boots over the shoes. And it's just like, that's how they used to do it.
Well, I think it's actually easier to dress for cold weather because you can layer upon layer upon layer. And then, of course, having the right types of things for sure. I think it's more difficult to dress professionally um, in really hot climates.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things I know that I've worked with some clients in the South who are financial advisors or wealth managers and so forth. And, they're having to be in suits, or they feel like they have to be in suits based on the clients that they're calling on. They can't be in sundresses and flip-flops.
Mhm.
So it's a matter of then finding good quality linen. And there are brands out there that really do talk to this marketplace. But yeah, there again, it's knowing the resources. And usually if you live in Texas or the South, what you're going to see in the stores it's going to be appropriate for the climate.
Mhm.
We
Oh,
can't relate to it because we don't have that kind of climate here.
yeah, well, that never occurred to me, but I guess that would have to be true. If you walk into the department store in Atlanta, Georgia, you're going to find different selections
That's right.
than if you're up in the Pacific Northwest or something like that.
That's right.
So yeah, here in our local climate, I don't know, they probably just have a little bit of everything. Just guessing.
Well, I mean, here, what do I want to say? I don't think they have a great selection for warm weather.
Mhm.
But then again, we don't really need it here. But
Mhm.
when it's time to, take a trip, or we're going to Mexico or Hawaii or a warm climate, then that's when, it's the online shopping that I'm doing for people to get them
Oh, I
ready.
was just going to say that. How do you even, I mean, those of us who've been doing online shopping because we kind of had to for the
Mhm.
last couple of years, it seems like hit and miss. I mean, is that just what people have to do? Or are there any quick tips you can give us?
Well, I think the quick tip is that number one, know your brands, know what brands work for your body, and be willing to try new things. Because I can tell you, retail is, I don't know where it's going. It's not good. Let's put
Mhm.
it that way. Since COVID, it's been tough for the retailers. So the selections in the stores are not. There are not a lot of options.
Mhm.
And I've had a situation just recently where I'm working with, 4 mothers of the brides. We're
Oh,
doing it all online shopping.
oh
And
boy.
so I warned them. I said, here's the thing. We can't really touch the fabric. All I can do is read the fabric description and tell you how I think the fabric's going to flow. The other thing we can't really do is we can't see the fit on your body.
Mhm.
What we can do is we can read reviews. And so I think it's really important if you're going to do online shopping that you read reviews. I love to read the the 5-star reviews, and I like to read the 1-star reviews. And that really gives me a sense of how things are going to fit, what the quality of the fabric is like. Is it running true to size, or is it running large or small? So, make sure that you read reviews, you do your due diligence, and then you be willing to take some chances. And knowing that you select a retailer, however, that does take returns without any question.
Mhm.
And many of them today have made returning so easy. They provide the label for you. They provide the packing slip for you. You just put it back in the box. You slap the label on. You deliver it to the post office or UPS. And then either they don't charge you to return it, or they might deduct the return of $6 or $10 from the actual credit. But I stop and think of the cost of gas today. I'd rather be spending $10 to return something than, $10 today would probably get me about 3 blocks in a car. So it's, you really do have to think about, the ease of shopping online. No, it's not perfect. Those of us that like to feel fabric,
Mhm.
it's not what it used to be, but
Mhm.
it is a good alternative.
Oh, yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because I ordered last time I had a special event and I had to order something. My daughter, who's a big shopper, she said, "Mom, just, she recommended I order like 2 or 3 things.
Mhm.
And then and they'd all look good. And when they get in, try them on because wow, the fit was so different on each one of them. And some of them, all I had to do was touch it. And I went, oh, no,
Oh, no.
I'm not gonna, nope. And if
And
I'd been in a store, I would have felt that,
right.
that was
And
not gonna work.
and look at price point, because prices are going to be indicative of the quality of the fabric.
Mhm.
So, when we think we're getting, a great deal at $59 on a
Mhm.
pair of, pants, think about, okay, if this was really a good fabric, would it be $59? Probably not.
Mm.
So fabric can be an indication of quality, unless you're buying something on sale. And I am definitely somebody that encourages, look at sales, buy sales when you know that you really need something, and you need it in a certain color, or you need to replace those white t-shirts. Buy them when they're on sale. But don't go to the sale rack for the very first look around, because
Mhm.
that's when we get into trouble. We buy things because they're on sale. They don't necessarily go with anything else in the closet.
Yeah, you make a very good point. Well, we're going to have to wrap it up. And let's see. It sounds like I'm really glad that we had a chance to talk like this, because I never really, and I know you, and I never really thought about just how many moving parts there are,
Mhm.
and how many places all of us can actually kind of go down the wrong path and start making not the best decision,
Mhm.
probably investing some money we shouldn't be investing in the wrong things. But I love that you're here as a resource for us, and you're just so much fun to work with, and you have so much information and experience for us. So I love that. Now I understand that you have, and I'm just looking at the chat now. You put that in the chat for everyone, and when I post the recording of this, I will put this in as well, that you've invited people to join your Empowered Style 50 and Better group, right? And I guess there's a lot of content there for people.
Well, what I love to do, Julianne, is I love to teach, as I've mentioned before. And so every Friday at noon, I do about a 20 to 30 minute, what I call Fashion Flair Friday. And I'm always talking about a topic related to style. The last 2 weeks, I've been talking about style personalities and how you can really identify your style personality. I'm going to be continuing this Friday with another couple of style personalities. And what I want people to be able to do is to begin to identify, oh, yes, I am kind of a traditional dresser, but I've got a little touch of whimsy on the side.
Mhm.
Or I really prefer to dress in a dramatic way, but I like to do it in a creative, dramatic way. So I always have fun doing them, and I love having people that come on and ask questions, and ask questions that then I can think about and say, okay, that's a great topic for the next Fashion Flair Friday. So come join me. And even if you can't be there for the Fashion Flair Fridays, they're all recorded and
Oh,
they
good.
stay right there in the
Yeah.
group, so you can view them anytime.
Yeah, I like that you send me reminders afterwards. So it's like, oh, I missed that. Oh, but here was the topic. Yay. Which is probably
Exactly.
what people are doing with this today as well,
Absolutely.
as people
Always.
do. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us. And again, for those of us who are watching the recorded version, Marion's information will be posted with the recorded version. And that's really all I've got to say about that. So thank you, Marion Gellatly. And until next time, I'll say goodbye to our audience. Thanks for
All
joining us.
right. Bye-bye.